Chat verse 6. Life from death at the quantum level. Is it possible to be everywhere while dead but alive? In the many worlds interpretations of quantum mechanics, all possibilities exist, including life after death, which is not unreasonable when one considers the nature of indestructible atoms. Life is a chemical system requiring protein and nucleic acids built from very common atoms in the universe: hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, iron. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. Yet, energy undergoes transformations in nature, that is, from heat to work, and from chemical potential to light. The deceased states, "I daily live after death." The pharaohs believed that life came from death, or that the deceased is equipped because of the vulture. Coffin text 365. The deceased must awake to life, for he has not died. Coffin text 48, 51, 53, and 287. And will not die again because he has power over heaven's winds. Fair paths open the deceased. Thus, the dynamics of the solar wind play a crucial role for life after death. Yet, what specific evidence do we have that the Egyptians believed their afterlife existed at the quantum level of indestructible atoms? Objective 4. Is there evidence for the view that the pharaohs believed that their afterlife existed at a quantum cellular level? Once again, is there evidence for the view that their pharaohs believed their afterlife existed at a quantum cellular level? Idea strand 2 through 5. King is not dead and is rejuvenated. Earth gods are powerless over king. Eternal king will not die on earth among men. Quantum physics predicts probability rather than defines singular events, whereas quantum consciousness is the phenomenon of being conscious of an experience at the level of the simplest element or cell. The pharaohs describe conscious events after death at the quantum level. It is possible to be dead but alive. Stuart Hameroff and Roger Penrose present a model of consciousness stemming from microtubule functioning at the cellular level, inclusive of brain neurons. Henry P. Sapp of the University of California, Berkeley, also proposes a theory believing that quantum mechanics can accommodate consciousness. Physicists David Bohm and Basil Healy suggest that our consciousness has a rudimentary mind-like quality at the level of particle physics, which becomes stronger and more developed at subtler levels. Likewise, the research of Janusz Slawicki in 1987 on spontaneous radiation from living systems suggests the biophysical hypothesis of the conscious self that could survive death of the body. The paleontologist Pierre Teilhard de Chardin insists that consciousness is not the epiphenom, but the heart of life, rising to greater consciousness in the process of evolution. To Chardin, the evolution of consciousness is a physical transformation advancing to the cosmic ultra-human, a way into the greater life open to natural organisms at death. Physicist Amit Goswami claims that even a tiny bacterium has an aliveness, which implies consciousness of energy landscapes. He proposes that survival is a consciousness property of the cell, and that a quantum system exists in the cytoplasm of a living cell that amplifies the state of a quantum system. Goswami believes evidence of the quantum is the telltale sign of non-locality. Egyptian descriptions of the afterlife suggest that the physical transformation of the deceased may allow him to see the full range of the electromagnetic radiation, ranging from cosmic rays, gamma rays, X-rays, to ultraviolet, visible, and infrared radiation, including microwave energy. Today, scientists can envision energy landscapes with the help of technology. A landscape can be described as the potential energy surface, or PES, defining the position of atoms. This surface exhibits varied topographical features similar to the Earth's landscape, such as mountains, valleys, and hollows. However, the dimension is much higher, and the energy landscape determines the behavior of the system. In light of the foregoing research, the Egyptian claim of a conscious deceased on the quantum level seems plausible, for the funerary texts are an extensive knowledge base of conscious quantum experience that delve into the very heart of nature and her laws. And the deceased states, "I spend eternity alive." Decoded, dead but alive equals quantum consciousness. The deceased is everywhere. Idea strand 37, 38 through 40, 42 through 43, 49, and 55. Dead King assumes all forms: Atum, Re, Hathor, Isis, Thoth, Horus. Idea strand 8, 35, 53, 57, 63, 94. Dead King is Falcon, Lotus haunting Heron. Now, fourth perishable star, fourth of four gods, Bull of Sky, Apis, Eye of Horus. Along with the features of the quantum consciousness, the metaphorical language of the deceased exhibits a second quantum phenomenon. The deceased in the afterlife is everywhere, ubiquitous, essentially whole, or assuming all forms in the realm of the dead. Due to his quantum ability of non-locality, the deceased is everywhere at once in the afterlife. Because of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, quantum mechanics permits non-locality within the wavelength of the quantum wave associated with a particle of mass m. In other words, the point particle is spread out over the non-locality region, which we might understand as a deceased spread out over the duat / magnetosphere or bacterium, or a multiplicity of routes down a protein folding funnel. The text referred to this multiplicity as hundreds of atoms taking possession of the deceased in Coffin Text 99. And as Neil Bohr said, there is no path yet. As an aid in understanding the quantum world relative to Egyptian thought, this work employs the word pathway, even though Bohr is theoretically correct. However, when particles enter a specific channel, such as the lambda attachment site called the lamporin, they appear to be irreversibly fixed. So even though a particle's trajectory is random, it is modified by the dynamics of the channel and may qualify for what Bohm and Healy call a minimum free path below which the trajectory ceases to be random. Thus, the pharaohs are also theoretically correct when referring to a path to the stars. Nonetheless, we appreciate why the deceased claims, "I have become a tomb, and I am in the primeval one," along with "I am Capri," who created himself, there in Coffin Text 318. Spread out all over the non-locality region, the deceased is a tomb, the August god who is in his egg, because he is everywhere and non-local. Another way of looking at non-locality simply is that it is not possible to define a point in space, the deceased, without referring to the entire state of the system, because of a point space in a quantum vacuum occupies all of space. Similarly, a wave of light protons from the sun is actually a line extending from the sun to the earth. Put simply, the deceased is himself and all the gods at once in the space of the afterlife. That is, he is Osiris, Horus, Ma'at, Thoth, Re, Atum, Ptah, Capri, Hathor, a crocodile, a swallow, the locust bird on the limitless plain. Thus, we can begin to understand the polytheistic mindset of the Egyptian, for there are many gods of molecules in the afterlife, all equally important due to the quantum magic of the non-locality. Decoded, deceased is everywhere equals quantum non-locality. All right. The quantum region of the dwarfs. Idea strand 9. Dead king goes to region of dwarfs. He is a pygmy, a snake with many coils. Dig this one, y'all. This is very important. The regions of the dwarfs is an meta symbol for the quantum world. The deceased actually states that he belongs to the regions of the dwarfs in Coffin Text 182, and that he receives his plot of land in the dwarf regions in Coffin Text 116. To examine this idea further, one must consider that the Egyptians also worship the god Bes, a dwarf deity with lion features. The name of the god is Egyptian and may be linked to Bes, to guard or to protect, or to a rare word suggesting a premature child or stunted being. Bes is usually depicted as a dwarf with a large bearded head, extended tongue, thick arms, and bow leg. Directly linked to the dwarf's region, Bes appears in the Book of the Dead with the typical regalia of the god, with two plumes and a back like a falcon's. The text connects the dwarf god to Netatah, or divine land, or land of the god. The dwarf was significant to the pharaohs For by 1990, archaeologists in Egypt had identified remains of some 50 dwarfs with special statuses who attended pharaohs. 20th century psychology sheds light on the instinctive meaning of the dwarf. Psychologist Carl Jung notes that the child god is an aspect of the child motif, appearing under the guise of the dwarf or elf that personifies the hidden force of nature. Egyptian thought suggests that the deceased in the afterlife exists in a dwarf region or microstate where the hidden forces of nature operate. So we could say that there is a parallel between the afterlife's regions of the dwarf and nature's hidden quantum world of atoms, DNA, and molecules, which is the foundation of all matter, plants, animals, and human beings. Once again, we can refer this simple analogy by the sign equal, remembering that the sign represents the words points to decoded regions of the dwarfs equals land of gods equals quantum world.